So while we were discussing about and while we were brainstorming about the problems that I went through, and he related that he also went through the same problems despite there being an age difference in us. So we thought of discussing those very mistakes so that others might avoid them. I'm Maurya. I'm a final year med student at medical school in Ahmedabad, and this is Dr. Aditya, who's a neurology resident at a program in New York. From the eyes of an 11th and 12th grader pre-med student, and for their parents, so that they can realize what's about to come and what problems the student is going to face once they're in pre-med, once they get into medicine, the initial years of medicine and beyond.
Yeah, and we would also love to discuss the kind of opportunities that our field has to provide and what are the roadblocks for the road to success. So, Maurya, I really want to start with asking you this question, that what were the major roadblocks that you faced during your 11th, 12th, which we are here to address. So tell me, what problems did you face in the preparation and how did you overcome those challenges and got into the position that you wanted?
So I got into medicine in the year 2020, and even then there were a lot of famous coaching institutes, in-person coaching institutes, that one of which I went to.
Okay, that's great.
They had a very fixed timeline, and the faculties and all, everyone was strict, and in every session they used to hammer on us about what's important, and the only thing that mattered was the rank that we get in our mock exams as well as the final exam.
Mm-hmm.
Because to them the student ranks is a metric for the success of the institute.
100%.
It's not about each student, it's not personalized, it's only a factory based approach to getting marketable ranks. And I believe that had some downsides, some well-known downsides as well as some personal downsides which I faced.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was the competition and the restrictive culture that they imposed on us, and the culture that it created in my house as well as in my mind. So one of which was going out, and when I was in school I used to go out, and I used to do sports. I used to play football. I even used to play the tabla, and I used to go twice a week to play tabla. But because the coaching institute made me feel like I should...
But let me take back to you that while you were doing all these activities, extracurricular activities, what kind of a student were you till 10th? Were you a bright student? Did you score good? Did you score bad? Tell them about that.
I didn't used to top the class, but I was in the top 10%.
Okay.
I wasn't a topper, but yeah, you could say I found school somewhat easy before 10th.
Okay.
And that changed in 11th and 12th.
Mm-hmm.
When from 30-40 students in my school class, I was faced with sitting in a class with 150-200 students in one room.
Yeah, that is fair. And what made you stop those activities, and how did your life change after that?
The faculties in the institute, and based on what my parents thought at the time and what I thought at the time, was that you could either have fun, you could either go to gym, you could either hang out with friends, you could either pursue your hobbies or study to get into medicine. And you cannot do both. That's what they made me think.
Of course, that is what they told you, but did it affect the decision of your parents as well?
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, even in some of the ways, they also told me not to pursue those hobbies and pursue those enjoyment activities that I used to before 11th and 12th.
Mm-hmm.
So that had an effect on me, I would say. I thought, I used to think that made me think in a bargain sort of way, because I could only enjoy if I studied a certain amount, but that's not true. I mean, you should have breaks and relax every now and then, regardless of whether you could study or not.
That is for sure. Having gone through a lot of competitive exams myself, I was in a similar position as you were. But now, from my experience, what I have understood about this process, I want to ask you this question, that when you stopped, using these extracurricular activities, how distracted were you post that when you were studying? What was the output like? If, for example, you studied for 3 hours, then what happened during those 3 hours with you?
So that's a very, very crucial question that I believe needs to be addressed. And now that I've passed through it, I can say that there are healthy ways to deal with the stress that we incur while studying, and there are unhealthy ways. I mean, sport and social interaction and all aren't unhealthy.
No, but you just tell me what happened when you were studying for those 3 hours, when you were not doing your football, you were not going for your tabla regularly. What changed when you were studying?
So I found myself in a metaphorical closed room where there was not as much freedom, and there was very limited things I could do to de-stress myself. And because I had stopped all those hobbies which I used to pursue earlier, I sought out ways to de-stress regardless of whether they were healthy or not, like social media, like gaming on my phone, and like Instagram, like Snapchat.
And what was the thing that you were telling me about? Betting?
Oh yeah, so that wasn't the case when I got into pre-med, but now I see a lot of my friends and even people who are like 5-10 years younger than me, they all have this habit of gambling, or I wouldn't say gambling, but there are apps on which you can bet money in mini games sort of things inside those apps, and you get returns on it and you earn money, and people boast about it to their friends, and that gets everyone to play those games.
But how much of your time did your thoughts occupy these activities when you were studying? Out of those 3 hours, we are just taking it as an example that if you study for 3 hours, did you lose focus? How distracted were you? How much was your output? Did your results change because of that? Were you performing better or worse? What happened?
So I definitely performed. I did not perform as much as I could have when I was on Instagram all the time, when I used to play games all the time without stop, because that was the only outlet I had outside of the mundane 5-6 hour classroom course after which I come home and I'm supposed to study. But because there are no breaks, I would always be on my phone and I would be on social media, and that impacted my results.
Definitely, that is what every student goes through. I feel that when they are confined into a room and no one has an outlet, these are the only things that they use. And what other distractions do you think there were during your 11th, 12th when your hormones are raging? What is the thing that occupies your mind the most?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in that age and time, I believe everyone has attractions to the opposite sex, if you will. And because it was also my first time experiencing those emotions and going through that period, I also got a bit distracted when I first experienced all that. And looking back, I believe it definitely had a negative impact just because I couldn't deal with it in a healthy way.
But what was the impact about? Why do you call it negative? What changed?
I noticed.
What were you doing at that time? Tell us.
So I was texting all the time.
Okay.
I was talking over the phone all the time with my friends.
Yeah.
So I definitely placed that friendship or that relationship over my studies and over the time I should have put in my studies.
But why do you think that happened? Do you think making that friendship would have helped you, or keeping away from it would have helped you more?
So I don't think it's a yes or no statement. If I knew how to deal with it, it would have helped me instead of harm me. But just because of that restrictive culture that I was placed in, not due to anyone's fault, but just because how it was, I was in a restrictive system. So I couldn't deal with it in a healthy way, and that had a negative impact of sorts.
Yeah,
But looking back, I think there's always a positive side to things.
of course.
So,
Of
those
course,
experiences- yeah.
when we look back, everything is positive. There is nothing negative about things that happened with us.
Yeah.
There should be no regrets. But the only point of discussion here would be that how can students who are going through this stage, which is kind of the most, it is the most important phases in their lives, when they have to perform, if they have to reach to a position, they need to do the work that is required to be done. And this is the moment when we have our hormones shooting out and we have no control over it. We are all into that and we just want to obtain those things, which is natural. It happens to everyone and there is no shame in accepting that. As a student, as someone who is growing up, puberty is natural and it coincides, unfortunately, with our careers at the same time, which is the most unfortunate part. So these things, I think parents also have a role to play. I think the more the parents restrict their children from pursuing those things, it imbibes the curiosity of that age to pursue these things more.
Opposite
And
effect,
it works counterintuitively. The more you stop it, the more you pursue it. So I think the right approach, which I feel over a period of time, would be that I've always seen sports or any physical activity as a real release of the excess energy that we have. These is an age where we are bustling with energy, and I think that if parents play a supportive role in those directions where a child is from a young age made to do more physical activity, involve themselves in sports where they have a healthy way of outletting that energy, I think the distractions start reducing. I've seen that in myself, and you stop pursuing the female attraction, or I think it's the same for the opposite sex as well. And these things help you cultivate your energy in the right direction. And I also think that when you are really studying and when you have healthy coping mechanisms, I have performed with more focus and concentration during my study hours. Even though my study hours would be less,
Definitely.
I think that I outperform myself during those hours.
That's true.
And if I am not doing the activities that I should have, then that actually makes me more distracted. It doesn't change, my friend, even if you are 28 or you're 18, let me tell you that. But the thing is, over a period of time, you learn better, healthy coping mechanisms. And if you are used to with those activities at a younger age, I think it can help you on a longer term. Like, it takes 10 years or 20 years for some people to realize that how you can control that energy. I think with parents, and especially the parents who have who are involved in those activities and who see people involved in these activities, they see at an older age. I'm sure your father or their friends who are more involved in physical activity, they are outperforming their peers.
Definitely.
At any age.
Yeah.
And if you stop children from doing it, I think it does more harm than good. And it increases the distractions. That is definitely true.
So the takeaway is that don't stop your hobbies when you come in 11th and 12th, and in medicine, and keep pursuing sport and exercise, and don't stop them. It will enhance rather than harm your productivity in career.
And also the thing is that even if you stop these activities, it's a big loss. And I think the parents should be very supportive, and you cannot use these things as an escape from doing your work as well, because those things are equally important, because without that you are not going to reach any position.
Yeah.
I think there is an example of my cousin. He used to weigh 90, 95. He used to score in 70s before 10th, but I saw that from 11th, 12th, something in him changed. He got into gym and he lost 20 kgs in over a period of 2 years. He started eating healthier and his results improved, and he started scoring 85-90%. He used to use his time more nicely. He learned the art of discipline from going to the gym. I think physical activity has a lot of a lot of potential to change a person in every way. So that is really crucial. I don't know, are you into physical activity now or no?
Yeah, I started exercising at home.
Okay.
Not as much as I should, but I recently started
Okay.
because of my back injury. I have a muscle imbalance and scoliosis in my spine, so I have to keep doing back exercises so that I can sit longer than an hour and a half at once. So before that, I would admit even I did not exercise at all, and I was pretty unhealthy. I'm still unhealthy. I want to be healthier. But once I started blocking that time, like for example, I have to wake up and do that 30 minutes of core and back exercises, and only then I will be able to sit and study, or else the pain wouldn't let me. But the sheer advantage that time blocking had and the discipline it created, not just the physical and mental benefits, but just the time blocking, led me to start my day earlier, led me to do all the things in a logical sequence and flow, and that too effortless. Because if I don't have something like that, once I wake up, what else I would be doing? I would pick up my phone. I would just start watching something or start studying, just like that. But this decompression alone helped me a lot in the past few months, I would say.
It definitely helps. I see that even though your prelims are going on, you're sitting here with me on a podcast, which is crazy. I couldn't imagine myself doing it.
Don't watch me.
That's all right.
Don't tell my faculty.
I think you're doing a good job at it. That is why you're here. You are killing it. But I think you should indulge in physical activities more, because from my personal experience, I was a really fat kid, and now I have started growing abs. So it has changed a lot of things in my life in every aspect. And you can't know it unless you do it. That's the thing, and it will change you. I'm really, really positive about that. But let us go forward onto this, that apart from physical activity and getting into MBBS, how did your life change after you got the position that you wanted? How was your first year like, and how has your life changed in these 3 years?
So the entry was a bit disappointing and a bit gloomy, that period, specifically for me and the people my age, because we got admission just when COVID came, and we couldn't actually attend half of our first year because of the COVID, and we had online classes, which I'm sure a lot of people had during their school right now. Some people had their 8th and 9th online, some people like us had their 12th and first year online. So our experience was a bit different. But once I came into MBBS, I saw that all I could see that everyone was friends with each other. Everyone had people to hang out with, people to have lunch with. People had groups, so to say, right from the first day of MBBS. I don't know whether or not they knew each other before NEET and before medicine, but I felt alone in the initial days of MBBS, and I didn't feel excited to go to college, or I didn't think I had something to look forward to initially. What about you? I mean, how was your MBBS like?
I think it was the same for me. I changed my city during my MBBS. I went and started living in a new city at 17, and I used to live in a hostel. So that actually gave me a sense of community, and I always had hostel people for me. Hostel problems are different, let me tell you that. But the thing is that initially I think everyone faces these issues where you are adjusting into a new place and you are shy. You come from a family or a background with a lot of family involvement. You come from a bubble, and it actually bursts in your college where you get a certain exposure to the real life. I am not sure if it completely represents the outside world, but it definitely is an upgrade and a change in environment, and most of the people have a difficult time in adjusting in that environment. Some people do not adjust throughout their colleges, but I know one story about you where what did you do that changed your position and how your
Yeah.
connections changed.
The
So we need to
party.
hear that.
Yeah, it's not it's not that extraordinary, but me and my friend had an idea of organizing a party or a mixer, so to say, for our batchmates, uh, because because of COVID, our seniors did not organize a freshers party for us when we joined MBBS, and it had already been half a year into first MBBS, and still we had no freshers or no interaction between the batchmates or something to bind everyone together, some social event, nothing like that. We did not have anything. So I thought, and me and my friend thought, let's organize something for everyone, and I came up with this exclusive invite only party. And we organized games during that party. We invited everyone, people came, and it was during the restrictions where COVID had restrictions and only 125 people were allowed. So we were forced to invite just half of our batch because of the COVID restrictions. And we organized games, we had dance, and we had music, and everyone played games and took pictures, and it was really enjoying. I still remember I got like 15-20 different people, messages from different people who I did not know at all, that it was an amazing party. They had never experienced something like that. Coming from 2-3 years of rigorous pre-med preparation, this was their outlet, I've heard them say, and that alone put me on the map or something in college. Yeah. And that helped me make friends. Coming from just 2 months earlier, where I did not have anyone to sit with during lunch. From there I went to everyone. From there I went to a time when everyone wanted to come and talk to me, wanted to become friends with me, just because I organized that party.
So you basically went from not liking college at all to loving it.
Yeah.
And this was the action that changed your situation for you. So I think this is a perfect strategy that you used, and it is a very healthy way, because in these groupism things, I've seen a lot of people drift. Not only a lot of people, even I have done so many things that you drift into things like cigarettes, alcohol. In nowadays, even drugs are rampant, and you do it under social pressure, and you want to feel accepted in a certain group, and you start doing things and which are negative in a way, and it creates a negative influence not only at that point, but these are the habits that you take along with you, and it kind of changes you. Instead, if someone throws a party like this, or they take action where they have the balls to do it, then they wouldn't have to go do these random things which create a negative influence or negative impact in their life, in the life of their peers, and maybe in their family as well in the future. We don't know. But these are some healthy coping mechanisms that people who are new to MBBS can use instead of doing what you are doing right now, especially people in the hostel. You guys are doing it. I know you are enjoying the time over there, but you can do better things. And this, I don't think anything, I know these things you aspire to do, get something out of it from doing these things, but I think going to a gym and growing abs is the best way to get it all. Trust me on. So you can use those things. And then I also want to ask you how I've seen that during my time in MBBS there was a lot of a relaxed environment around studies, and we were basically chilling back then. But now I see a lot of ferocious competitiveness in the students who are in their MBBS. I think it comes from a place where you guys work really hard for your NEET in 11th 12th, and it gives you this competitive drive, which how healthy, or what do you think are the positives and the negatives from it?
I think that's a good question. Coming from that competitive coaching institute in 11th and 12th, and getting into medicine, I agree that the competition has increased just because of the sheer numbers sheer number of people who are giving the pre-medical entrance test. There are obviously some advantages being in that system. I wouldn't say coaching institutes are all bad. This is the huge advantage that they bring. The culture of studying, where everyone is excelling at the basics, and it's about who does extra. So only that extra effort will help you put yourself forward. And if I was continuously exposed in that environment where I had to do extra, then that carried forward in my MBBS somewhat. And but obviously the negative sides are also there, because I felt I was always in anxiety about my exams initially, because during pre-med every test and every rank mattered, because I was taught that the rank I got will dictate my rank in the future, but that's not true. And that anxiety surrounding every test is not healthy. And when I gave my step 1, I was told by my seniors, and all my friends were given before me, that if I remain calm, that would help me more, and it did. So that anxiety and the pressure that is created during 11th and 12th for some people is not healthy. That hyper competitiveness is not that healthy.
But do you think it makes people more insecure?
Oh, definitely. I mean, everyone is insecure, and it drives them to do things. It's good, but it's bad for the self-image. I mean, you think nothing of yourself at multiple points in time just because of that competitive environment. And that competitive environment, I realized, doesn't stop when we get into medicine. It only increases.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to cope with it. I haven't completely realized how to deal with it, but as per what my family tells me and what my mentors tell me, everyone has their own timeline. That's what they say. I haven't come to realize it completely, but I think you have good points to share about that.
For sure. So, Maurya, I don't know how many times you have failed. Have you ever failed?
No.
So, I failed multiple times in my life. I failed second year twice. It got extended to 2.5 years. But then I finished second year, third first, and third due in 1 year. I did all those 3 exams in a year in 2017. So I failed twice, and I recovered twice fast, and I never lagged behind with my batch.
That's awesome.
Then I was not clear what I'm gonna do after my MBBS. I basically started my preparation for USMLE after I finished my internship.
Okay.
Internship year was my year where I'm just chilling because I did a lot in the past 1 year. So then COVID hit and things happened. So I took a drop of 3 years. For 3 years I was sitting here and doing my step 1 and step 2. Simultaneously I was definitely working in hospitals, which I think gave me an edge when I went to the US, because when you actually are working out there on field, it kind of changes your perspective about how the patient and the healthcare system runs. It is a big uplifter, and if someone is taking a drop for their studies, I think getting a job and hands-on experience is the best way to utilize the time, because you are not going to study all the time, and it is natural that you would want to do different things at that point.
Could you tell me about how you transitioned from that sort of a chill period during your internship after your MBBS exams and the work X that you were getting by going to hospitals before you went for your residency?
So for those 3 years, yeah, definitely. So the thing is, when you chill enough, more than enough, I think there is a drive in you which wants you to pursue things. So I basically shifted my life completely when I came back. So I started with basics. Basic things were, I will get up early. During my MBBS, I was into late nights. I would never sleep till morning. I had a rule: no one will sleep till sunrise. That was the rule. Some of my friends would relate to that. But the thing is, once I came here, these were the few things that I wanted to change. One was, I am going to wake up early and sleep early, come what may. I am going to indulge myself in physical activity, come what may. And after that, I am going to study. These were the three things. I had decided by that point that I am going to pursue USMLE. Now, studying was a slow process. I could not get into studies very quickly. So, I allotted only a few hours to studies, but I wanted to do something more during my time, and I had just come back here to Ahmedabad from Surat, and COVID had hit. So I immediately took a COVID job. I used to work as a medical officer at Sola Civil.
So you're directly working with infected COVID patients.
Yeah.
That was your job.
Yeah, okay. That was the job. And I immediately got into it because I was freshly graduated, and I had the chance to serve or do something for the community at a crucial stage in everyone's life. And if you are into healthcare and you didn't work during COVID, I think you missed out on a lot of facilities.
So I missed out.
Yeah, it was a lot. So the thing was, I got special, you get treated specially when you work as a doctor during COVID. During that time, my car had a sticker from the hospital. There was no traffic on the road. I don't think a time like that would ever come again, where you are going on the road alone with no one around because of the lockdown. And also, when you are working there, everyone is in a state of fear. You are actually growing along with the hospital, and the guidelines are constantly changing. So when I joined the hospital, there were like 10 to 15 patients, and by the time the first wave was peaking, our hospital had 500 patients, and it became from a normal hospital to complete COVID hospital. I saw the transition right in front of me, and I got the opportunity to work from triage to ICU, because a lot of people were quitting. The senior residents that are there, they were quitting. So medical officers who are junior residents, they had to step up and do the responsibilities. It was really interesting and a big learning curve, but it was because I took the opportunity. I did not think about studies during that time. I left studying during that time for a few months. I worked there for a few months, and then I again left the job, started working on my steps again once COVID had settled in and there was more certainty in the world. And then I was still focusing on those activities, waking up early and doing the physical activities.
So even during COVID, even in that heavy work phase, you did not stop on sleeping early and exercising enough?
No, never. And during that time, I started preparing for a marathon as well. Fortunately, because of one of my mentors, I was able to complete. I started with 5 kilometers, and I also completed 10 kilometers on the way. And I used to do it barefoot.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What reason is there?
It was just to challenge myself. There was no specific reason, but I completed a 10 kilometer in 1 hour. Wow. And that was in Adani Shantigram. Initially my legs used to have small blisters, but that changes. And my legs are very well equipped with a lot of surfaces now. So I used to do a lot of different things and try everything new. I started going to the gym, and that is when I seriously started getting into fitness, and since then I would say I have never looked back, and things have always changed in a positive direction for me. And I mean, that's all about it.
I feel by hearing this, I feel that you sought out diverse experiences, or you got diverse experiences wherever you went.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were into working at a hospital, you got a diverse experience to work in triaging, in inpatient setting, or in the ICU. If you're into fitness, you constantly pushed yourself in all surroundings and in all parameters for fitness and for exercise. I mean, Definitely.
And then there was one more thing. After step 1, I joined Zydus. So
Okay.
that was a different experience for me as well, where I worked in a private hospital.
Okay.
So at this place there was a big opportunity for me because I used to work directly under the director of Zydus.
Okay.
So this guy trained me really well. He is an orthodox guy and he wants things to be done in a certain way, and I learned a lot from him. I'm still in touch with him. Even when he comes to the US, we have a really great conversation. Even when I'm here, I make it a point that I get to meet him once. And then I also did a home healthcare service.
Okay.
So there I went to, I got a contact who was doing this, and he was the one who started sending me to these places for his patients, and then I kind of started it on my own as well.
So is this home-based care for patients?
Home-based care for COVID. So it was
Okay.
like a telehealth approach,
Right. Okay.
which was new during that time.
Right.
I
Okay.
wanted to get that experience that how are people
Interesting.
managing that.
Interesting.
So I've tried a lot of different things, and that is why I had started getting a direction on what I actually wanted to do. It was never hypothetical or only based on ideas. Only by doing things. It was a slow process, but it was a definite and a certain process, I would say that. Because neurology also, I started developing interest in neurology. Some people have a difficult time in deciding their field of
Yeah.
interest as well.
Even I do, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that only comes with when you are doing the work,
Okay.
and when you start doing that things, you start knowing yourself more, and I think it just falls into your lap.
So unless you get hands-on work in different fields, in as diverse experiences as you did, hands-on work is the only way to decide whether or not you like something or not.
Yeah.
Especially with regards to career and academics. Okay, interesting. So for the early pre-med students and the initial MBBS students,
Yeah.
they should be focusing on getting as many diverse experiences as they can right from the first day.
Definitely, I think that really helps in a lot of aspects. But I think 11th, 12th, deciding a career in medicine in 11th, 12th is a very difficult decision. But fortunately or unfortunately, that is how it is in the current times.
Yes.
But you have to get more experience in all the fields, I would say, before you decide a career in anything, because that would be an ideal way. And also, once you decide a career, it's not certain that you are going to love it for the rest of your life. So your mind is going to constantly evolve and change, and what you think is right at this point, as I'm sure what you think was right in 11th, 12th, what you think was right in first year has changed over a period of time. It has changed for me as well. It is going to change for everyone.
Yeah.
And you just figure it out on your way. But unless you are on social media doing nothing and playing video games, you are not getting anything out of
I
it.
feel attacked here.
Yeah. So you have to make sure that you do things with yourself and with your time, and you do things in real world. I think that is the best way to know what your interests are and know and get a sense of a direction. I think that is really crucial.
Interesting. Because pre-med students come from a mindset that only the pre-medical entrance test score or the rank is what matters. Once they clear it, they realize it's not just the score that matters, especially with regards to USMLE. We realize that there are tons of things that are considered for an applicant going for a residency abroad, as well as matching into residency abroad.
Definitely.
So that transition that we all made from simple metrics that decide your career to a whole array of things that might or might not affect your life positively and negatively.
Definitely.
Like how did you manage your life or all those things that matter apart from the score for matching into a program such as yours?
So I think the things that I described, these are the experiences that I got during my preparation for the exam. And I think having these experiences is really crucial. And their students are always in a doubt where they want things quickly and they don't want to do a drop year. They are always afraid that they are not going to match or things like that. These are the thoughts that go on in everyone's head, I think. But nothing can beat experience. I think the only way to... And people get it out of you when you are in an interview. You will see that people will ask you questions and they will realize your depth when you are speaking from listening to people or from a book, or you are actually speaking out of experience. Because I think the way of presentation is what matters once you get an interview. And here also post-graduation in NEET is all about your merit and how much you score. But USMLE still is a place where I think the best of the best students who match into great university programs have a very diverse profile and have done a lot of things outside of medicine which helps them in the maths. I'm sure you see a lot of people who have matched into great places, they have a very diverse profile. You will see that people with good metrics, they might have matched into community programs. But for some people, their metrics might not have been that exceptional, but they did exceptional things outside of medicine, which people really appreciate over there. And I don't see losing a year for doing something that you loved at that point is harming your career in any way.
Right.
Because that is not losing a year. I think that is gaining a year of experience.
True.
And I think those things really help you along the way in a lot of ways if you want to use those skills which you gain by working in, like, if I've seen a lot of people, so there is this place for, I'm into kickboxing since I was in medical school. I could not pursue it very religiously, but I really did it once I went to the US in the last couple of months since starting my residency, because now I have the resources to do it.
Were you into a particular fighting style like MMA?
No, Muay Thai. It was kickboxing.
Interesting.
I got into it now. The thing is, from doing that, I found a place where this doctor, he is treating Parkinson's patients by making them do kickboxing in Manhattan. And I met this guy and he has crazy ideas on how he wants, and he's doing it since 5 years, and the kind of results he produces is amazing, which can never be achieved through medicine or by giving medications. But he trains them with world-class athletes, and these patients are 60-70 years old and they are doing lunges while having Parkinson's, and they're doing so many things.
So you're talking about bringing together unconventional things or never heard before things together and finding whether a solution exists or not.
Yeah, I think that is the way, and that is the way a researcher or a scientist works. They do trial and error. I think these researches that are out there where you are compiling 10 different papers and compiling into a single sheet of paper, I don't think it is very crucial. In a way, it gives information, but it is not a real experiment. It is an information sharing thing or information compilation, that we can call it that. But what this guy is doing is something real, and he is producing results out of it, and he has found a way to get paid for it. It's amazing, I feel. And I think if you use everything in your life in a positive direction, or you try to inculcate that, you see everything as an opportunity, there is no loss.
So the tools always exist.
Tools always exist.
We just have to find them and explore. And not get distracted by the things which we are distracted by in first year.
100%. Like your tabla playing skills, bro. It can change. You know, I know my neurology, that is why I'm saying that music therapy is a big deal in neurology.
I did not give as much value to my playing as I did before, but why do you think it's so important? I mean, could you elaborate
Yeah,
on
of course. So music is basically a frequency. So our emotions are a frequency, our thoughts are a frequency, and you might have also noticed in yourself where if you hear different kinds of music, your mood shifts
Oh, yeah.
in different states. Some music would make you feel nostalgic, some music would uplift you. So this is basically the same idea where you play a tune which matches the frequency where you feel good,
Okay.
or you feel motivated, or you feel uplifted. And that is what the role is. You just hit the right notes and the right frequencies for someone, and they capture it, and it works out well. Some frequencies don't work out well, and some frequencies work out well. You have to, it is an experiment. I'm sure while you were playing, some sound it would soothe you, some sound would disgust you. It's the same approach for any patient and how it changes their mood. A constant. And also there is research. I don't want to talk about research a lot because it is skewed and it has things in both the directions, but from what you hear from people, you see that some people learn music at a later stage of their age,
Okay.
and it brings them out of depression. It is really helpful.
But the unconventional solutions talk, I mean, to come up with something like that, does it require a conducive environment or a supporting environment in which you are encouraged to pursue something like that? Because something as minuscule or as insignificant as attending a workshop while being in first year, I was told by my friends that first you should focus on the basics and cover the material that's being taught in first year before doing all of this. And it's again the same either or mindset that I was being restricted into before medicine, that you cannot do both at the same time. But it was on me and it was on my mentors to tell me that don't listen to those guys and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, how does one get out of that environment, mental block that is created, that you cannot do multiple things at the same time and you have to focus on where you are?
So I think it's very clear. You cannot inspire anyone else.
Okay.
The only person that you can inspire is yourself.
Okay.
First of all. Now, the thing is with this question that how can you change someone? It is not about that. It's about winners and losers. If you have a loser mindset, then you are going to focus on a single thing. If you have a winner mindset, you know you have to do 10 different things at the same time, and you will be able to do that. And if you really want to do it, you are going to find time for it. Now, even though your prelims are going on, you are sitting here with me, we're doing a podcast, and is it going to change your results? No, because you know that you are already prepared, and doing this or not is not going to affect your results in any way. So now you have created this opportunity for yourself where you have created a space of time for yourself, and you are doing what you like. So this is how it is for everyone. Anyone who wants to do it, or anyone who has done it, they always find the time for themselves. It is, the mental block is there in everyone, and I think it can be broken only from within. No one else from outside can break it. You can do things and people will look at it and maybe they feel inspired and they break the block inside of themselves. I think that is the best way to do it.
True.
By doing it.
So one person has to do it and show it for because I'm talking about a situation where someone is shamed for pursuing hobbies, for pursuing things outside of medicine as a first year student. I wouldn't doubt myself right now for sitting here and not studying, but I would doubt myself if I was being shamed for it when I was in first year, if I was in such a state. What do you have to say to that? If someone is being brought down by their peers, I'm not saying it's the peers' fault for bringing someone down, but how does one get themselves out of that scenario and pursue what they want to?
So
I get that it's a little bit repetitive.
Yeah, no. But this comes back to the point where what do you think of yourself? Like, since I was in college, there were people who would study a lot. I'm sure there are people like that in your college as well who study a lot. But now, it is your choice if you want to study that much or not. You know how much you need to study to pass the exam, right? Now, who cares what you do with the rest of your time? And if they shame you for not studying during your prelim, then why does it affect you if you know that you are going to pass?
No, it affects me because as a first year student, I would still try to fit in, because that's a really important point when it comes to a person in a new surrounding. We would even us. I mean, wouldn't you want to fit in at your residency program?
I mean, in a way, you feel that you want to fit in, but you have to make sure that you are doing the work that is required. So, what is the idea about fitting in? Like, you do things against your wishes to fit in, then I don't think that is the way how I would like to function. I would see it in a way where if I am doing the work that is assigned to me and what I do with my spare time, it is no one's job to comment or to question me on what I'm doing with the rest of my time.
It requires an internal sense of security.
Yeah, it requires that. That is why I told you. It comes back to the point on what you think of yourself.
Right. Okay.
If you are thinking of yourself in a positive direction, or if you trust yourself, you believe in yourself, then these outside noise is not going to bother you. Now think about people who are in great positions. Think about how much outside noise do they get. How much hate do they receive on social media?
Even Messi and Ronaldo face hate, then who are we to?
If 5-10 people tell us, and if we are bogged down, then stop doing things. True. Because you don't deserve it. If you can't face these 5-10 people, then how are you going to face hundreds of people when you do something big?
True.
So either stop dreaming big things or start working and cut out the noise. It's that simple.
That's a great point.
So now, I don't know about other people, but while I was in my 11th, 12th, I did not know what MBBS was about.
Okay.
So now you are currently in the system. It has been a long time for me since I was in the system. So can you please tell us that how is the structure? How much of the fees do you pay?
Right.
And how much fees do you have to pay in the post-graduation as well? And what are the job prospects like?
About the job prospects, I wouldn't know, but let's start with the undergrad. In my province.
What was your tuition fees like?
Okay, so before even getting into medicine, I think my dad paid around 2 lakh, that is 200,000 rupees per year for my coaching institute fees.
For a year. So 2 years makes it 4 lakhs.
That's no. So 4 lakhs, but that's including. No, 4. I think it's 3 lakhs for both the years.
Okay.
Which includes the school fees, because I'm still.
It was in a dummy school.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's the common thing. That is what is going on in the current state. Like, people are enrolling into dummy schools more than they were before. Right?
Yeah. So that was the fees I paid, and I think that's commonplace. I mean, if you don't go to a coaching institute, it's not that much easier to get into medicine, because, as I said, there are some advantages to that competitive environment which gets you a rank. But on the fees part, during MBBS, the fees of an institute decides its hierarchy in how it gets filled by students. So students, the first rankers get priority into which college they want to go, and the first 8 colleges in Gujarat which get filled are government funded colleges, which have a fee of approximately less than 40,000 a year, which is incredibly cheap as we compare to other college, incredibly inexpensive as we compare it to other colleges. After
40,000 per year. That's it.
Yeah.
It was 6,000 when I was studying. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm counting the hostel expenses
Okay.
right now with the government colleges. I think it might be even less than that right now. They have the government medical colleges.
But what about the bond? How much is
Yeah,
the
that's
bond?
what I was coming to. So the government medical colleges have a bond of 20 lakh,
Okay.
which means after your MBBS and after your 1 year of internship, you have two choices. Either you pay 20 lakh rupees to the government and you're free to go where you want, you're free to apply to any jobs or study for your other postgraduate exams, or you're posted at a job where you have to work, and this will be in a remote setting, and you will earn a monthly salary, but you don't have to pay the 20 lakhs now.
Okay.
So that is the bond.
Okay.
You have to work for a year, you get paid, but you don't have to pay the 20 lakh. This is right after your MBBS.
Okay.
This system exists in all government funded colleges.
That you have to do for a year.
Yeah, that 8 colleges in my province. After that come the GMERS institutes, GMERS institutes.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, how many there are, but once you're done with the GMERS, there the fees is approximately 3 to 4 lakh a year.
Okay.
And again, you have a bond system in these institutes as well.
GMERS has a bond.
Yeah,
as well?
it does now.
Okay. It was not there when I was.
Yeah. And then come
Crazy.
the self-finance institutes, one of which I'm enrolled in, and they have a higher fees. I mean, in my city there are 4 or 5 self-finance institutes. They have a higher fees. My institute has a fee of 6 lakh per year without any of the hostel fees. This is just the undergraduate enrollment fees is 6 lakh per year and 4.5 years of MBBS.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
we can calculate.
Yeah.
But the advantage about self-finance institutes is that we don't have to pay a bond, and we have no obligations when we get our MBBS degree. We're free to pursue whatever we want. That is the difference. That is the core difference apart from the fees between self-financed and government finance institutes. Another difference is that these self-finance institutes and GMERS institutes have a provision for management quota seats and NRI quota seats, wherein the cutoff to get into that seat is drastically lower than what you would have to have if you are a general quota applicant. But subsequently the fees is 3 to 4 times higher. So if I'm paying 6 lakh, an NRI student would be paying 24 lakh for 1 year. That is how it is, and it has increased right now. It's been 4 years since I was enrolled, and the fees you have to pay stays constant from the year you get admitted into the college.
Mm-hmm.
So right now the fees for my college is approximately 7,30,000 a year, and for management quota it's even higher.
I think it was 3.5 lakhs when I was in there.
Wow, so it's doubled.
It has doubled.
In 6-7 years it's doubled.
So that is the cost of MBBS.
Right.
And then post-graduation. How much is the cost for post-graduation?
So for post-graduation I'd have to check, but
I think the private institutes,
it remains the same.
it's like 14-15 lakhs a year.
Oh, that's
Which is insane. You get stipend of around 80,000 to 1 lakh.
doesn't cover it.
And
Doesn't
it
cover
still
the fees.
doesn't cover it.
Yeah.
If you go into government hospital, it's the same. You have a bond to pay.
Yeah.
And bond, I think you serve for a year or 2 years during the residency.
We'll need to check that.
Yeah, we have to check
But
that.
there is a bond system in government institutes, that's for sure.
But private is also really expensive.
Yeah.
And it is a very costly journey. And you need to have a reason of why you are getting into it, because all those people, especially who are in it to make money, I think it is not a field to make a lot of money.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Because the cost that you are going to pay is a lot, and the return of investment is not that great. I've seen
That might scare some of the people.
No, it's not about being scared. It's about knowing what they are getting into. Because one of my friends, he is an ENT surgeon.
Okay.
He was getting paid more during his residency than his actual job right now. He has to do 2 jobs. 3 jobs. It's a very hectic life for him. If you want to live in a big city, the saturation is a lot. The market is very saturated. Of course, there are a lot of people here. You can make a name for yourself, but it's a slow process. It is not a great time for making money just as a doctor. You have to involve yourself in other activities if you are really into making, or your goal is to make money.
Okay. So it's about liking or having a passion for the field we are in rather than doing it for the money.
Yeah, definitely. There has to be a purpose behind getting into this field, which definitely can change over a period of time.
It is not only money. I mean, we're investing time as well, right?
100%.
2 years of pre-med, 5 years of undergrad in medicine without
5.5.
Yeah, without. So that's changed now. It's 5 years now.
Okay.
But that's without any failures or clearing everything in our first attempt. That still takes 5 years, and gap years we take to get into postgrad, and
super specialty,
plus a specialty training after
and
that.
to take a gap for studying for that as well. That is also a tough exam.
So it's never ending. We're going to be studying for all our lives.
So you're gonna be basically somewhere between 30 to 35 before you are done. If you
with training,
if you decide to stay here, go outside, wherever. Of course, if you don't waste a lot of time, you can definitely get it done earlier. But this is how it is. So definitely there has to be a liking for the profession. There has to be an insight of what this profession is about. It is also the business side of it is really difficult, which is a conversation for some other day. But the parents also have to make a very, very well informed decision, because they play a major role during our early years when we are getting into this field, because most of us, especially in India, go into medicine with the guidance of our parents first, right?
Yeah.
And before we even realize, we are already in MBBS, we are already in medical school, before we even have other ideas or perspectives on what our liking is, because that is how we are all raised, very unidirectional.
You're right. Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, what does a 16-year-old know about the future, about the world, how everything's changing, especially with AI?
It depends. It depends on how much he was exposed to by their parents. So,
but not everyone was, right?
That is the thing, that it depends. Like if the parents are really, I have seen a lot of parents who expose their children to a lot of different kind of activities, and it actually develops the kid well-roundedly and holistically, which is the term used to get into US medical residency.
Holistic review.
So holistic approach is there, which is really an awesome approach. If they try to grow them in every direction and not unidirectionally, that would be great. I have done a lot of coaching. Even though my mother didn't know a lot, she was not in the same field, but she put me in so many different things. She made me learn roller skating, badminton, swimming. I've done a lot of things.
Okay.
तो कई बात नहीं.
चल.
हाँ भाई आ तो नेचुरल है इंडिया में. So I have done a lot of different things because of that, and I learned a lot. I'm sure you have learned a lot of different things. Being a tabla player, you have spent some time on it.
I don't know how much it applies to medicine, but tabla has a certain way to it in the form of lay. I'm not sure if you're aware, but lay is about how we play each beat with respect to its specific time interval, and we cannot deviate from it. There are certain patterns in which we have to work. There are certain time patterns in which we have to play our piece, and only then it would translate to a good hearing and playing experience. So So yeah, so with regard to academics, I think there's also a fixed time limit here, and you can only play around with your hobbies and with your academics if you block time for each of the thing that you do, and it all has to be rhythmic and in sync with everything else. So yeah, that's how it collaborates both my
You
interests.
said it like a true tabla player, and I think that is really great. And having different approaches and different experiences in life can definitely help you get more ideas. It broadens your perspective, and it's really crucial.
A little off topic, but what do you think about AI and its impact right from the eyes of a pre-med student, an 11th, 12th grader, a med student, and now you're into residency, you're facing real life scenarios where you think or where you might be seeing AI being in use?
Yeah, so I have not had a lot of experience with AI, but I'm sure you are a big fan of AI, and
Yeah.
you are a rampant user. Maybe you can give them a glimpse on how you are using it for your betterment.
So while I was in second and third year, and now I'm in fourth year, I've been using large language models like ChatGPT a lot. There are many of them. We can use any of them we like. Now they're in WhatsApp and Instagram as well. I mean, if you've seen Meta AI, it's
I saw it on Twitter recently.
yeah, Grok is there on Twitter, and everyone wants to get into large language models. But from the eyes of a medical student, I saw that with ideas from my friends, of course, I saw that the exam structure of our MBBS exams is subjective. I mean, they ask you a 10-marker question, comprehensive note on, for example, apoptosis or heart myocardial infarction. They ask you a 10-marker note on it, which is different from how we are evaluated in USMLE or in NEET PG, which is OMR for our UG NEET as well as postgrad. Everything is MCQ based, but it isn't the case in our in-house MBBS exams, which are subjective. So what I did was I copy pasted sections from my textbook into the large language model or in ChatGPT, and then I asked it to get. It's a very simple use case. I asked it to get explanations, and I asked it to simplify it for me, and I asked it to generate specific keywords which could help me retrieve the whole piece of knowledge that was in my textbook, rather as compared to just reading it. So this interactive format I really liked while learning, and at the end I used to ask it to generate that set of keywords which I used to copy paste in my small notebook, which only had the keywords for all the answers. So with that small notebook I could retrieve the entire knowledge that is required for my subjective exam, because in a subjective exam keywords are what matter to write a quality answer, and that is how large language models help me to bottle the material from the textbook into me so that I can write the answer in a more comprehensive way.
Yeah, that is a really great use of AI. I think it would have. When I think about what you're saying, I think it's really helpful that if you have a structured answer, you just can go through it quickly, and I think it saves a lot of time for you. And instead of going through extra information, it's very direct and pinpoint. I also wanted to ask you about this strategy that you use during whenever you want to focus. What kind of a strategy do you use?
So I'm sure many of us would relate when I say that I still am in a way totally addicted to smartphones and social media and Instagram and gaming still, even though you say they are disadvantageous, but I still spend a lot of my time on those. But I realize that I also have to study for my exams, and I don't have any self-control. So I use an app called Digital Detox. I'm not endorsing it, but this is an app which allows me to block certain apps and allow or whitelist certain apps, which include phone or SMS or Uber or food delivery, for example, which I would need to survive. Other than that, all of the apps are blocked. and the time for which they are blocked, I decide that. So in that set amount of time where the phone is blocked, let's say 24 hours or let's say 20 days until my exam, I'm only allowed to use those whitelisted apps, and then I can focus on studying. So that is something I use when
This is a new gen technology that you are using. For me, it was really simple. I used to use the dumb phone.
Okay.
And it saved a lot of time for me. And
so it has nothing. It has no screen. It has no screen.
Only text and call. That's it. And I mean, the USMLE requires all these. Even during my college, I used to use these things. So no smartphone. I think we need to go back to dumb phones more.
So you went cold turkey, no contact,
cold
completely radical block. I couldn't do that. So I thought that I want to use the tools of a smartphone while also avoiding all the negatives of a smartphone.
Yeah.
So I believe people can give this a try.
Yeah, of course. So these are the two strategies for people out there who are concerned with the same problem, who have a problem in distraction. So I think that's about it, and it was a really nice and long conversation. We drifted a lot here and there, but our focus was still there. Yeah. We had a definite lie to it, I'm sure, and I hope it was helpful for all those who are watching. And Moria is doing a lot during his med school, and it's great to see students who want to explore different areas at a really young age. And
it's because of people like you, because of which I can experience all of these things.
No, it is a big learning for me when I meet people like you and who are really ambitious and who want to grow and learn more.